Welcome to another deep dive. Today we'll be exploring the cosmology and moral structure of the Brahma Purana.
Specifically.
Yeah, specifically focusing on its 13th section.
Yeah.
Which I have to say presents some really fascinating details.
Well,
like an underworld that's described as more beautiful than heaven.
Really puts a twist on things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then a giant serpent holding up the earth.
Oh, yeah.
And a surprisingly modern take on the nature of good and evil.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's start by talking about the structure of the earth as it's described in the Brahma Purana.
Okay, sounds good.
It describes the earth as having 7 layers beneath its surface.
7 layers.
7 layers, and each one is more magnificent than the last.
Wow.
Right. So they each have their own unique name and characteristics, like colors, palaces, all sorts of crazy things. So at the top you have Atala, then Vitala, Nitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, and finally at the very bottom, Patala.
Patala.
Yeah. And these layers are inhabited by all kinds of beings.
Oh. Demons, deities, even families of massive serpents.
Wow, I would not want to run into one of those.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The sage Narada supposedly journeyed to Patala.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him.
And he came back claiming it was even more beautiful than heaven.
Really?
Yeah. Which is pretty incredible considering he's, experienced the divine realms.
Yeah, that's saying something.
He's saying, nope, Patala is even better.
Wow. So what's it like down there?
Well, the Brahma Purana describes it as a place with gentle sunlight and moonlight that don't burn or chill, lush forests, tranquil lakes, and tons of lotus groves.
That does sound pretty nice.
Right. And there's this sense that time doesn't even exist there.
So you can just fully exist in the moment?
Exactly.
Wow.
But wait, there's more. Beneath Patala, supporting the whole earth on his back, lies the 1,000-headed serpent god, Shesha.
I've heard about him, yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty important.
Is that where we get the whole world serpent thing? Maybe. It could be, yeah. So the Brahma Purana describes him as being adorned with these brilliant, radiant jewels, illuminating the world with his brilliance.
So he's like a giant glowing snake.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's said that even the gods are in awe of him.
I can see why.
And the text really goes into detail about his appearance, They talk about his single earring, an insect resting on his forehead, a garland of dazzling gems. It's like he's this living, breathing mountain range made of light and power.
That's an amazing image. But he's not just about physical strength, right?
No, definitely not. The Brahma Purana says that Shesha absorbs the power of all demons.
Oh, wow.
To maintain balance in the universe.
So he keeps everything from falling apart.
Exactly. He's like a cosmic shock absorber, taking on all the negative energy.
To let everything else function in harmony?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a pretty important job.
It is. And the text even compares him to Mount Kailash.
The sacred mountain in the Himalayas.
Yep, to really emphasize his grandeur and connection to the divine.
I see, yeah.
But there's more to Shesha than just brute strength and cosmic balance. He's also a source of profound wisdom.
Interesting.
Like there's that story about the sage Garga who learns astrology by worshiping Shesha.
Yeah, I think I read that somewhere. So he's like this source of knowledge too.
Exactly. Which makes me think about the descriptions of the hells in the Brahma Purana.
Okay, yeah.
Because, we've been talking about all this beauty and wonder, but there's also a concept of consequences for your actions, right?
Right. It can't all be sunshine and lotus groves.
Yeah, for sure. So the text outlines all these different types of sins and the punishments that await in the afterlife.
Like what kind of punishments?
Oh, well, there's one called Rorava. That one's reserved for liars and people who lie under oath.
Oh, so like bearing false witness.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about the other hells?
Well, there's Shikara for people who commit especially terrible acts, harming a pregnant woman, a guru, or a cow.
That sounds pretty serious.
Yeah, and then there's Kumvipaka, which is described as the hell for those who betray their teachers or kill Kshatriyas and Vaishyas.
Wow, so there are specific hells for specific types of offenses.
Exactly. And the descriptions are very vivid and meant to scare people straight.
To make them think twice before they act.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like a Hindu version of Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, bit like that.
But, even with these punishments, the Brahma Purana offers a path to redemption.
That's good. Wouldn't want to be stuck in one of those hells forever.
Yeah, no kidding. So how can someone, who's committed these awful sins, how can they find redemption?
Well, the text really emphasizes the power of remembrance.
Remembrance of what?
Specifically of Vishnu or Krishna.
Okay.
It says even people who have done the worst things can find atonement through real remorse and sincere devotion.
So not just like chanting their names or doing some rituals,
No, it's deeper than that. It's about really recognizing your mistakes.
taking responsibility
Yeah.
and making a change
Exactly. It's about choosing a different path.
and aligning yourself with that higher power.
Yes.
Okay, so how do you practice this remembrance?
Well, the text mentions that even just one act of sincere remembrance can have a big impact.
Like just one time?
Yeah, especially if it's at, specific times like dawn or dusk or midday.
Oh, interesting.
So it's not about big gestures. It's
Yeah.
about those small, consistent moments where you connect with the divine.
So even a brief moment of connection can be powerful.
Yes.
Huh. But the text goes even further, right? It says that continuous remembrance of Vishnu can lead to liberation.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal.
And it says that that's even more important than reaching Indra's position.
The king of the gods.
Yeah, wow. Why is that?
Well, the idea is that by constantly remembering Vishnu, you start to detach yourself from worldly desires and attachments.
So even becoming a god is just another obstacle on the path to real liberation.
Right.
Huh. That's really interesting. It's like it's making us think beyond, the usual ideas of heaven and hell.
It's a different way of looking at things.
It is. It's about transcending this whole cycle of desire and suffering, which actually brings us to another fascinating idea from the Brahma Purana.
Okay.
It says that happiness and suffering aren't caused by things outside of us, but that they come from within our own minds.
So, it's not the things themselves that cause joy or sorrow.
Right. But how we perceive them.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah, like I've definitely had things happen where something that used to make me happy just doesn't anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the power of perspective. The Brahma Purana gives an example. It says that the same object can cause, joy, sorrow, anger, or peace. It all depends on the person's mental state.
Oh, yeah, totally. Our reactions totally change depending on our mood or how we're thinking about things.
Exactly.
So it's really all about knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah, if what's going on inside us determines whether we're happy or suffering, then by understanding ourselves and the world, we can actually change that.
We can choose how we see things.
Right.
So it's like instead of trying to change what's happening around us, we should focus on changing our minds.
Exactly. And the Brahma Purana connects that to the idea of liberation. It suggests that real knowledge, like understanding the true nature of reality and ourselves, is the same as Brahman, the ultimate reality.
It's like this journey of self-discovery leads to enlightenment.
Right.
The more we learn and grow, the closer we get to understanding this truth.
And the Brahma Purana gives us a map for that journey.
Yeah.
It uses all these things, cosmology, mythology, ethical teachings, to show us how complicated being human is and how we try to find meaning in this massive, crazy universe.
This deep dive has really been a trip. We've explored this incredible underworld that's supposed to be even better than heaven. We met this giant serpent holding the earth up, and we learned that even the gods aren't free from karma.
Yeah, and we had to rethink our whole idea of good and evil.
Not as these set rules, but as ideas that change based on how we think.
Exactly.
It's a lot to think about, but it really makes you think, what does it even mean if good and evil are relative? How does that change how we see our own actions and choices?
That's the question the Brahma Purana wants us to ask. How do we live the right way when good and evil depend on your point of view? That's something worth thinking about.
It definitely is a deep dive worth taking, and we'll be back with more amazing topics and mind-blowing discoveries in future deep dives. Thanks for joining us.